start by warming up the hips. It's very important to warm up the area that we're going to be working on. So we're going to start with huge hip circles. And I want you to exaggerate this movement as much as you can. So really work each and every square inch of this imaginary circle that you have around your hips. You want to slightly lengthen the muscles, stretch them out. You should feel a comfortable stretch, a little comfortable tightness and tug around the muscles of your hips. We'll just do 2 more here. And prepare to go to the other side. So same principles, exaggerate the movement, really sit in the back of those hips and really tuck your pelvis forward and thrust it forward to stretch out those hip flexors in the front as well. Doing a total of 10 each side. Now you're just going to do quarter lunges to the side. So quarter side lunges. The idea here is just to warm up the ankles, warm up the knees, because we just warmed up the hips, so now we just want to warm up the ankles and the knees a little bit. This is going to help to prepare the body to do squats and other exercises that we have planned today to strengthen around the pelvis to get those glutes activated. Now again, lunge forward, front leg bent, back leg straight. So again, just quarter lunges here. Nothing extreme. If you need to use a chair or a wall to balance, please do so. Just a good 10 on each side. Again, really try to push off with your whole foot on the middle part of your foot and really push with your glutes. Push the floor away from you. Switch sides. Again, back leg nice and straight. Front leg is bending, just quarter bends, so it's just initiating the movement, nothing extreme. Your knee will go over your knee, maybe slightly, but try to control the movement and really push from your glutes. We're just warming up the joints here. So grab a chair, and we're going to simply squat. So we don't want to sit and fall back on the chair. We want to push our hips back as if we're trying to touch the edge of the seat and push and squeeze the glutes to come back up, pressing through the floor. So sit back and press your feet down towards the floor. So you want to imagine you are pushing the floor away from you and squeezing your glutes to do so. So sit back to touch the chair and push yourself back up. So keep your core nice and tight. Keep the weight of your body in the middle of your feet and really feel and squeeze those glutes pushing you up. So you don't want to come fully up to the point you're squeezing your glutes so much your pelvis is tilting forward, but you just want to focus on those hips going back and coming up to a neutral position. Now we'll prepare the bands. So move the chair out of the way temporarily. We're going to take a stance on the floor here. Wrap the band around. I'm using yellow, which is one of the easiest bands to use. I'm just tying it in a couple knots to make it tubular. Now when we're preparing to do the clams, we want our heels in line with our glutes. And you're going to glue your heels together and squeeze your glutes to pull your knee up towards the ceiling and control it down. So we want to move it for about 5 seconds up and lower for 5 seconds. The point of this is to attract blood flow and get the nervous system activating and firing again so that you can activate these muscles easier. So focus the entire time, keeping your core nice and straight. You're not moving your hips around. The only thing that's moving is your knee up towards the ceiling, and you're doing that by squeezing your glutes. Now a little faster and control 5 seconds down. So come up in 1 and lower nice and slow for 5. 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And repeat. Quality over quantity here. You're going to roll onto your stomach. You're going to bend your knee. You can rest your forehead on the back of your hand, and you're going to squeeze your glutes and press your heel to the ceiling. So you want to squeeze your glute first before you lift your leg off. So squeeze them together, then lift off and lower. So relax everything. Squeeze your glutes and lift up and lower. Make sure your core stays nice and tight. Belly button should be off the floor a little bit if you can. Most important part here is before you lift your leg, you're squeezing that glute every single time. Relax fully here. Squeeze and lift. Lower, relax fully. Squeeze the glutes and lift. Slowly lower. Relax everything. Squeeze the glutes and lift. Now you're going to hold and lower even slower this time. Relax everything. Squeeze, lift up, and slowly lower, even slower than we were before. Relax everything. Squeeze the glutes, lift everything, lift, 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 lift. Slowly lower. Now relax everything. So we're going about half the speed we were before. Squeeze and lift. And slowly lower. You should be feeling a burn in your glute, not your hamstring. So really focus, if you're feeling more in your hamstring, focus on the glute work here. Really squeeze the glutes to lift up. Lift up still. Almost done. And lower. We'll prepare to go on to the other side. Make sure your heels are in line with your glutes, your tailbone. Squeeze your glutes, glue your heels together, and lift your heel up towards the ceiling, your knee rather. And gently and controlled lower your knees. Lift up for 5. And lower for 5. And squeeze your glutes, lift for 5, and lower for 5. So you see how my upper body is staying completely still. I want to make sure you're doing the same. Bring your belly button to your spine, keeping your core nice and straight, and only utilizing the squeezing of the glute to move that knee up towards the ceiling. I know I'm getting super repetitive, and I apologize for that. But what I don't apologize for is quality of work. So you want to make sure you are constantly repeating these things to yourself in your head. So if you don't have the video playing, you are making sure you are doing things correctly. When I'm at the gym and when I'm doing my workouts, I'm constantly saying these reminders. So you notice there how I flung up. So I took 1 second to get up and controlling down for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lifting up. So essentially up for 1, down for 5. Squeeze again. That movement should be coming from where? The glute. Your pelvis should not be moving. Your core should stay nice and tight. Roll onto your stomach again so we can work on the other glute now. So that was working the glute med, those clams. Now we're working the glute max. The glute max responsible for extension. So now that you lifted, do remember to squeeze your glutes. So relax everything, squeeze your glutes, then lift. And slowly lower. So we're going to be going a little faster initially here, and then even slower afterwards. So just get the movement down. Relax, squeeze, squeeze and lift. lower, release, squeeze the glutes and lift. It is so important to remember that you squeeze the glutes first because you don't want those hamstrings overpowering the glutes when you are moving, especially walking. So relax everything, squeeze and lift, hold, hold, hold. Now lower. So we're changing up a little slower here. Really squeeze, lift, hold, hold, hold. Now lower. Relax, squeeze, lift, hold, hold, and lower now. Squeeze and lift, really lift. Keep the core nice and tight. Slowly lower. Relax. Squeeze again and lift. Relax. Squeeze and lift. Really important to exaggerate those glute squeezes. Cannot stress that enough. So now on our back, we're going to do glute bridges again, all about the glutes right now. So when we push up, we want to posteriorly rotate our hips, and then we're going to bring our knees outward to work the glute meads as well. So squeeze the glutes, tuck the pelvis back, lift, open the knees, back, and lower. This helps to keep the knees in line with the hips to have the band around, and we're just adding a little bit extra glute med activation by bringing the knees out on top. So squeeze back, shift up, out and in, and lower. Rotate back, really squeeze the glutes. Remember, you're squeezing the glutes so much, that's what's lifting your hips up towards the ceiling. And lower. Everything we're doing is in a very controlled manner. Squeeze up, knees out, control back in, control lowering your hips back towards the floor. Squeeze, lift, knees in, slowly lower. Core should be nice and tight as well. There should be no tension in your shoulders. Squeeze the hips, so keep squeezing the glutes. And keep squeezing as you control your hips back down. Squeeze and lift. Push out, back in, and slowly lower. Squeeze and lift. Press your knees out. And slowly lower. And we're just going to gently stretch here. In this figure 4 position, bring the knee towards the chest. Keep that other knee out so you can use your other elbow closest to the knee that is towards your chest and keep it pushed back. Now we'll switch sides, cross the other leg over, heel over the knee. Pull the leg towards you, and you can use the other elbow to push the knee back to get a better stretch. And slowly lower. We'll switch things up. I want you to stand beside a chair. This is level 1 with the band around your knees or above your knees. Level 2 is when the band is around your ankles. I'm going to stick with level 2. The further it is away from your knees, the more difficult it's going to be. So you're going to stand on one leg. You're going to keep everything nice and tight. You're not going to let your hip drop, because when you keep your hips nice and even, you're also working the glute medius muscle on the other side that you're standing on, not just the leg that's moving. So squeeze everything up. and control the band back in. Squeeze and control back in. It's all about control here. Squeezing up and back, and it does help to let the toes fall a little bit inwards. Get a better targeting of the muscle. Do a few more here. This is where you're really going to start to feel the burn. Try to push through it as long as the quality of your movement is perfect. You can keep on going, but if you feel you're starting to sink in your hip, or you're starting to extend your back, or bend your knee, stop and take a break. Now, with the same leg you were standing on, we're going to practice one-legged sit-ups. So you're going to press down with the one leg. So sit up and lower yourself slowly and control down. So one-legged squats is one of the best ways recorded in terms of research to activate the glute max muscle. So if you need to, you can put your other leg down for support or just do the regular squats that we were doing at the beginning. Here you'll notice I'm fully sitting down and then pressing up. Great. So now we're going to work on the opposite leg. Keep your hips nice and aligned. Don't let it drop like I just showed you. Keep them nice and aligned. And toes come in. So you'll really feel it burn on the other side that we just did one-legged squats on. But really try to work through it. If you need to pause the video and wait a few moments, do so and then pick back up where you left off. Make sure you're squeezing, leg nice and straight, and controlling the band in. Squeezing up, controlling the band in. A few more. Now, the opposite leg that we were just lifting is the one you want to stand on. So if you were just lifting your right leg, you're going to also do one-legged squats on that leg, just like you did the other side. Use a chair to balance and try to do those one-legged squats. If you need to have the heel for extra support and balance in front of you on the floor, do that. Or if you just need to do the two-legged squats that we did at the beginning, where you're just touching the chair as opposed to sitting on it like I am now, do that. Keep the core nice and tight. Push through the middle part of the foot and control yourself down. So control both movements. Don't let yourself just fall. Try to control the movement. Really squeeze that glute. Now we're going to toss the band off to the side. We're going to work on some stretching here. Same thing as we did on the floor, we're going to do sitting up. So nice figure four, don't slouch. Try to keep your back up nice and straight. This will help to stretch out the glute med. Use your hand to press your knee down. And if you can, slightly lean forward. This will help to intensify the stretch if you need it. Breathe through it. This should not be painful. You should not feel any pain. Control the knee on the way down and assist the other leg up. Same thing. Push the knee down, sit up nice and tall, and lean forward if you need a more intense stretch. We have about 10 more minutes left here, so this is just a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a stretching break before we finish off the last part of this video. Right, sit back and control the knee down. So lie on the floor, get a foam roller if you can. If not, get a couple pillows, and we're going to put the foam roller right underneath our tailbones or our low back. The hip flexor that we're going to stretch out is the one that you're going to straighten. And if you don't have any knee problems, you can pull from your shin. And if this is too much of a stretch for you, you can just bend your knee here to take some tension off the hip flexor. But I can do it straight, so that's why I'm showing you here. If you need to adjust to get it more comfortable, you can roll the foam roller up a little bit more on your back to help you get more of an intense stretch. Again, I don't have any knee problems, so I'm able to pull from my knee. But if you do have knee problems, please pull like I'm showing here now, right underneath your knee, and pull towards your chest. This is the safer way to do it, to not put so much stress on the knee. Breathe through it. You really want to breathe with your abdomen, not your chest. Because this hip flexor that we're trying to stretch out, the psoas major muscle, attaches onto the spine, and that's why we're stretching it here. But what also attaches to the spine is the diaphragm, and that's why we want to breathe properly. Now to stretch out your adductor, you're going to bend your knee if you can and let your knee fall out to the side. If this is too intense, just walk your heel a little bit out towards you, and you should feel a stretch more on the inside. When you slowly lower, stabilize the foam roller, bend the other knee, and stretch out the other leg now, and we're going to reverse the stretch. So the reason why we're really working on the glute muscles is because that would help to relax, so to speak, that hip flexor. If you're working on the opposite muscle, it's going to send what's called a reflex inhibition signal to the opposing muscle to relax it. It's how the body protects itself from getting unnecessary strains and damage to muscles. And we're just stretching it to top it off. And same thing, bend the knee, let the knee fall out to the side to get a little bit more of a stretch for those adductors and groin area. If this is too intense, just keep going with the previous stretch that we were doing. Stretch out the knee for even a more intense stretch if you need to. I'm just showing you options here. The best part about doing it at home is you can make it your own and do what you can within your own limits and what your body is telling you. Slowly bring your leg back and bend both your knees like I'm showing you here. Squeeze your glutes, push the pillow or foam roller out of the way. And now you're going to just lie here in a froggy pose. So glue the balls of your feet and your heels together. Let your knees fall out to the side and really breathe with your abdomen here. Again, that diaphragm attaches onto the lower back where those psoas muscles attach onto, so those hip flexor muscles. So we want to get an overall stretching and nice elastic movement happening at these lower back joints. It's going to help your hips, it's going to help your lower back, it's going to help your adductors. And most importantly, it's going to help to balance out your pelvis so that you're more balanced and that the right muscles are contracting at the times they should. Sometimes when you're over flexible or when you have too much joint movement, you're actually unstable and need to focus more on strengthening. So this is a very good combination to work on both. Now assist your legs closed, stretch them out to the side. Now we're going to do what's called a crocodile twist. So put your right foot on top of your left. So your heel is going to be right between your big toe and the first toe. And you're going to twist away. So you're going to twist in the direction that your top leg is still on top. And you're going to look in the opposite direction. So you should not be using a lot of force with your arms. You are twisting with your lower body, relaxing your upper body, and breathing through this stretch, keeping your legs nice and straight. And ideally, both your feet, which you can't see here in this video, got cut off, both feet are on the floor flat. But you will have to build up to this if you have lower T-spine immobility like many people have. This exercise is great to improve your efficiency as you are walking, and it's also a great therapeutic exercise for your lower back, your mid-back, your spine in general really, as well as your organs. Now slowly lower back, and we're going to switch sides. So left leg on top now, between your big toe and middle toe. Relax your arms completely. Shift your hips over. Your feet should be close to the floor. If not, do what you can. We're going to breathe through this and hold this for a minute. Ideally, you will work up to 2 minutes each side, but for now, 1 minute each will be suffice. Remember to breathe with your abdomen. Relax your shoulders. You should not be using your upper body to maintain your twist. And you should be relaxing further and further into this stretch and this new range of motion that you may have lost. Doing this stretch makes walking and the mechanics of walking way easier if you have an immobility issue in your lower T-spine. Now recover, legs back out. Roll yourself up properly onto the side. We're going to do cat and camels here because we're just twisting, so now we want to work the spine and flexion and extension. So the goal here is to tuck your chin towards your pelvis, really try to get a bend in all of your back here. And when you're extending up looking towards the ceiling, your shoulder blades are going towards your spine and your tailbone. Push up and curve the other way, almost like you're trying to hold an exercise ball in your back. Just a few more here. These are great exercises for your entire spine and pelvis stability and balance. Now to downward dog. Back down onto all fours. Finishing off with core work, so really squeeze your belly button towards your spine. If you can't straighten your knees out completely, just keep a slight bend in them and only work in the range you can. Keep your belly button to your spine, press up, breathe through this, really get a stretch in your shoulders, your back, your hamstrings and your calves. Come back down. And press up. And down. And press up. Really try to keep your back straight. Knees, keep them bent if you have to. And bend. All right, so that's all we have for today. So you did a great job if you've made it through this entire video. Please do this video about 2 times a week at minimum, 3 times ideally, because this is a strengthening program. So with any strengthening program, you want to do it about 3 times a week for full benefit and for your body to see any type of improvements. And if you know anybody in your life with lower back pain and they need to improve the strength around their glutes and their pelvis so that they have more stability and therefore less pain, please share it with them. And subscribe to my channel. If you want to be one of the first to know of any videos I release in the future, please subscribe. And please leave comments below. I get back to every single one of you. If you have any suggestions or requests of videos for me to release in the future, please leave that in the comments below. Thanks for all your support.